Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new moon in Cancer. I'm a Cancer, so I like this time of year. If you're a Cancer too, or if you have Cancer moon, Cancer rising, or you've got Venus in Cancer or something in your chart, then it's all being highlighted and it might make you just feel good, feel affirmed. So a new moon in Cancer is also super symbolic because the moon rules Cancer. And new moons are all about planting that little seed in the dark and nurturing it to see what grows. And Cancer is all about nurturing. And because it's the moon, it rules the night. It glows in the night. So even when things are dark, there's still a lot going on. So you might relate to that symbolically, all of the full moon, all of the new moons when they happen. Or you might find some times of year that that's more relevant to you, depending on your sign. But the symbolism of a new moon in Cancer is very much a very maternal, very safe, womb-like atmosphere that is created or that you need in order to nurture something that might be very, very vulnerable, very delicate. And that can be anything. Could be things that you have been letting build up inside you haven't said. Could be telling your story. It could be something that you are dreaming of doing. And the new moon phase of something isn't always like eureka. Oh, I want to do that. I'm so clear. I'll tell the world. It's usually more the quieter moment where you're sitting down and you're like, I really want to do that. It's more that the new moon, the nurturing the seed. It's more, you're flipping through something online or in a book and you see an image that inspires you for a second and you go, oh God, I want to do that too. Or, oh, I would love to have, or I wish I could be more like. And it's that little moment that usually just stays fairly private. You don't tell the world yet. It's just the beginning where you go, where you connect with something that you desire and something that feels too new, too fresh, too raw to share yet, to get feedback or to have other. And then you just like a little seed, it's under the ground for a while. You have to water it. You know it's there, even though you can't see it. You know it's there, and you have to water it, and it needs sunlight, and it needs good soil to grow in. So we also need sunlight. We need warmth. We need water. So we need our emotions. And we need good soil. So in this case, good soil might be comfort in your home, the environment that you're in with people. Things need to be nurtured to grow. Otherwise, the seed won't push up and grow. But if you nurture it right, it will. And it'll start really small, right? You start to see it poking through the earth and it's tiny, tiny. And that's still not the phase where we're out there telling everybody or getting feedback usually. Usually that's still, let's say that the example of being inspired by something you saw and you went, oh my God, I want to go there. Let's say it's a picture of, I don't know, the Maldives or some beautiful place, and you see it and you go, oh my God, I have to go. I have to make that happen. And then all of a sudden you find the little seed starts to push up, the little sprout. The sprout might be that you say, I'm going to do that one day. And you start looking, maybe at, again, researching the area, seeing how much a flight costs, stuff like that. But you haven't told anyone yet about this desire. So this is the energy that we're in right now. So we're going to take a look at the astrology chart and see what else it says. But But the core of a new moon is this. Every month we have those conditions to plant something that could be vulnerable, that we would like to see come to fruition. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a trip to the Maldives. It could be, I have to speak to my friend about something that has been on my mind a long time and I haven't been sharing. And again, you're going to mull things over and you're going to let things grow and you're going to get support before you decide how to have that conversation. Maybe it could be anything. So try to relate this reading today to what's in you that's starting very small, that quiet voice, that quiet desire that's growing, and think about what you need to nurture it so that it does get to grow. Yeah. Cancer moon is all about our emotional needs, as well as intuitively what we need and what we sense emotionally. So a Cancer moon is very psychic to me, for empathic for everybody, meaning you're reading what's in between the lines. You're not being literal about people's words. You're not being literal about people's actions. Cancer moon can sense the genuine intentions. They can sense the true character or motivation of somebody on a psychological level. So again, someone comes around with big shiny plans. Oh, I'm doing this, and oh, hey, you should really come out to the. And Cancer moon, if there's something that incongruent between the way the person's smiling and saying something and the vibe they're getting from the person, other signs are empathic and psychic too, but Cancer will really pick up on the deepest psychological level of things, the deepest motivation of things. Cancer's the deepest of the signs emotionally. So the person isn't necessarily lying if they're like, hey, and Cancer's not sensing, oh, this person's a liar. I mean, they might, but it's more, they're going to sense, why is this person so excited but yet so uncomfortable? And they're going to be putting out their feelers for what's going on in their background that's giving this little discrepancy of what they say isn't matching how they're saying it. So that's another aspect of a Cancer moon. You might be tapping into the psychology and the emotion of a lot of things or people around you right now. And again, I'm looking at this fresh. I haven't pre-studied this or pre-made notes. I like to give you all my raw first impression analysis of a chart. And I cast the chart for the Eastern time zone, since I'm in the Eastern time zone, and also, New York and major cities, Toronto, Florida, all the way down. They're all Eastern time zone. So the houses that I mention and the rising sign and stuff that I mention is applicable if you're in the Eastern time zone. If you're in Central, if you're in Pacific, it's going to shift a bit. But the overall dynamics are the same. So, yeah. All right. So we have the sun and moon on top of each other on a new moon. That's what happens. They're conjunct, meaning they're at the same degree. So it's 18 degrees Cancer. And you might have heard me mention these once in a while. There's something called the Sabian symbols. And they're really, really cool if you want to study your astrology chart. And they are metaphors, they're allegories, they're little stories, quite particular stories for every degree of the zodiac. So when we look at 18 degrees Cancer, the symbolism is a mother hen scratching with her chicks. So think of a mother hen and she's clawing the ground. And so basically, again, you're talking about a mothering image, like we mentioned earlier. And you're talking about, a mother feeding her young, so caring for, nurturing others. Clawing the ground is sort of like, when you think there's nothing left, because there's no food in front of you, she's scratching the ground to dig up and see if there's anything under the earth that could feed her young. So we also can look at that symbolism of what are we, again, Cancer, diving deep under the surface. What are we clawing for under the earth? Are we also looking for nourishment or looking to see is there something under the surface that we're missing? So I know I'm a Cancer, so my mind is always on this stuff all my life. And that's why I'm able to give the readings I do, because I've learned to look deeply under the surface of things. And I'm sure many of you do as well. But this is going to emphasize it, that you might be wondering about somebody or what's next for you. And you might feel like things are sort of dry or flat, like that earth, that dry earth. But if you dig, you're going to find there's something under the surface that surprises you. So let's look at the aspects of that sun and moon. The main thing we have is, of course, Pluto in Capricorn. Been saying this for the last many years with Pluto in Capricorn. There's always a point where it's opposing something in Cancer. They're opposites, and as Pluto slowly moves through, it's been there since 2008, and it doesn't leave until 2024. So we have 3 more years, in Cancers, you've been going through the ringer with Pluto opposite your sign. Cancers have been in a huge death and rebirth many, many times over when it comes to their intimate partners, your closest, your marriages, your intimate bonds, your close friends. Sometimes even Pluto in your, typically in your 7th house, can bring out a lot of friction, a lot of power trips, a lot of, forcing relationships or people forcing things on you, a lot of struggle. So it depends where you are. If you're a Cancer, where you're born. If you were born at the end of June, this was all happening to you many years ago. If you're born right around like the 17th, 18th of July and onwards, so the end now, the tail end, you're going to be feeling that the most. So take a look in your own chart if you are a Cancer or a Cancer rising. If you're Cancer rising, it's the same thing. Pluto is sweeping through your house of intimate partners and open enemies. And so what you want to do is, and this is advice for everybody right now since Pluto is opposite the moon, ask yourself, am I forcing something? Or do I feel people are trying to force or push me into a corner? And it can be anything, like from outright domestic violence. Hopefully not too many people listening are going through that, but that could be one manifestation since it's Pluto. The other way that I would ask myself that could be relevant for everybody is, if I'm feeling not so close to my partner right now, am I trying to push or force the intimacy? Am I trying to push or control or steer my friendships in a certain direction that I would like to meet my needs? Or if you're feeling uncomfortable in the other direction, do you feel, is your doctor or your therapist pushing you too far, too fast? Do you feel, any form of like control coming from, friends, neighbors, partners, intimate partners? And just take a look at that. Because if you do sense that there's a power struggle, on an underlying level going on, a competition or a power struggle, definitely the advice is to let go and give it space. Let it go right now. Give people their space. Give yourself space too. If you're the one feeling pressured and forced, you need to put the brakes on a bit and give some space to yourself as well. Because Pluto is just so intense, and especially like in Capricorn, it's very intense in terms of like it's hungry to get ahead, and it's hungry to get what it wants fast, even though it knows it might take longer than that. And it's just so overwhelming to that little delicate Cancer sun moon energy that I just described, right? The little seed. So Pluto in Capricorn is sort of like coming along and dumping a bucket of water and fertilizer on a tiny little seed and being angry that it's not growing fast enough. You know, this is the dichotomy. So just take a look for those kind of dynamics of force and control. The other thing we have going on is a square to Chiron again. We mentioned that with the full moon. If ever you want more information on some of the planetary aspects that keep recurring, like these long moving ones like Pluto, like Chiron, like Neptune, you can always refer back to any of the other videos from new moons and full moons, going back even a few months, because sometimes I dive into those planets a little longer than others. So we have Chiron in Aries, the wounded healer, that wound of self that we mentioned last time, where it's difficult to take your place, where you might take too much place, where you feel it's never about you, it's always about everybody else, or maybe you think it is, but it's actually always all about you because you're feeling so insecure. Chiron in Aries, it's the wound of not feeling like you have a solid sense of yourself to draw from. So you're constantly, in that way, clawing the earth, digging for who's going to give me the approval I need to feel, you know, who's going to mirror back to me who I am, and then that messes up your relationships, right? You're not coming from a strong place. So again, the advice would be to swing back, pull back, get to know yourself better. Get to know who you are, what you need, what you like. Affirm you. And you'll be able then to communicate that much better. And then that will, in turn, help your relationships be healthier. Then it doesn't stay sort of like that seed under the earth. It doesn't stay this sort of suppressed need that's like screaming in the background of everything you're doing. And that Cancer sun moon is going to be like, they're saying this, but what the heck is that energy screaming on their subconscious? Right? Sometimes that might be that we feel this Chiron, this wound of self that's going on under the surface. Now, it is making a very nice aspect. So it's supported by Uranus right now. Uranus is in Taurus. And Uranus, as we mentioned in other videos, in Taurus is sort of like a series of little earthquakes. Taurus likes things to be smooth and stable and secure. Lock and load, that's what it is. Great. Don't change it. I'm happy with it. I want this in place. Now I feel secure. I am loyal to what that is. Great. Leave it alone. Uranus is coming in and it's like digging under that earth, like that chicken with the clawing. It's digging, and then it sets off an explosion under the earth. And yeah, it's not nice for Taurus. Cancers don't love change that much either. But we all have to admit sometimes, if you're earth or water sign that doesn't love change so much, you have to admit that there's been times in your life where if there wasn't a little explosion or earthquake, that made a mess everywhere and you had to put it back together and rethink it, you might never have moved forward. You might have stayed stuck or in very stagnant, unhealthy situations for the sake of stability, but it was like a toxic stability. So Uranus and Taurus is coming along and under, every so often the earth is shaking under me. Oh my Lord, another little landmine. And then it's unpredictable with Uranus and Taurus. But at the same time, it is making a sextile, which means a healthy, easier, more workable, supportive, but you got to work at it kind of angle with that sun, moon, and Cancer. So that just basically tells me if there's any little earthquakes right now, that they might actually sort of support your progress. They might be for the best. They might be for things to move on and move forward. Now, the other second supportive aspect is that Venus and the moon are trine. So very lovely angle with Neptune, which is in Pisces at 23. Again, Neptune in Pisces is a long influence, and it's at 23, so it's got years to go. So Neptune in Pisces is, Neptune rules Pisces, so it's at home there. It's comfortable. It's going to bring something sort of daydreamy, ethereal, spiritual, maybe new age or woo-woo. It's going to bring visions and inspiration and idealizing, and it could bring great, lovely states of sleep. It could bring amazing dreams to us with that aspect. It could bring some very intuitive, strong psychic moments to us. I have this in my own chart natally. The intuitive flow with all the water signs in my own chart that match these. So I can tell you that the instinctive and intuitive level, when there is a water trine like this with Neptune, is extremely strong. The creative and energetic and psychic and healing flow is very strong. So all of us are going to benefit from that this new moon. So you might want to take this new moon, particularly because of all the things I'm saying. It could be a really great time to just sit down with a nice cup of something, sit down by the trees, sit down by water, if you're near water, sit down by a fountain if you don't. It would be nice if you're near the water, since these are water signs. So you can just absorb and feel and watch the flow of the water. Let it cleanse you, let it purify. It would be a great time to go swimming. Be a great time even just to have, if you're in a different part of the world listening, where your temperatures are not swimming, hot showers, baths, get in the water. Think of the water as cleansing and purifying. Allow yourself to go into a bit of an altered state, whether it's meditation or like relaxing your eyes and letting yourself daydream. It's a great time to get in touch with your deeper subconscious through any kind of healing work, therapy, hypnosis, deep meditation, breathing exercises, anything that helps bring you in, because right now this new moon is really going to activate your intuition and your subconscious needs. And when those poke through, because sometimes, we're all just so busy keeping life together on the, not shallow, but on a surface level, like, do I have, clean the house, the groceries are done, I got to make these car payments, I got this thing to do for work, I got these errands, and it's like we're externally busy and focused on stuff we got to do. But sometimes you really need that space where you don't care about that. You're in another zone, and you need to allow those deeper needs in you, those deeper desires in you to come through, because that's what creates that dissonance, like I said, where somebody's smile is like, and it's not matching their energy. Well, some people are, yeah, when you see that duality, some people are not telling you the truth. But that doesn't always mean people are lying. Lying is someone who's consciously knows the truth and is telling you something otherwise. That's lying or gaslighting. That's someone who knows and they're playing with you. But there's an awful lot of times that I think people are quick to jump and call everybody a narcissist or gaslighter, when a lot of the time it's just that you're able to perceive that this person's talking about something and it's not the truth for them. It's not really resonating with them. So you sense a duality, but they're not aware of it. It might not be conscious to them yet. So they're still coming across as if there's a lie, or something inauthentic or unaligned about them. Doesn't mean they're conscious liars. It might mean that they're just not self-aware. It might mean there's something calling their soul and they're not honoring it. And you're picking up on that. If someone starts, well, I'll just use myself. If I start talking about, all kinds of plans and things I'm going to do here where I currently live, let's say, people could be scratching their heads because they sense that I actually want to travel and be somewhere else so badly. So they might be like listening to me half-hearted, going, because there's something going, why is she spending so much energy talking about that when she just wants to get out of here? Sometimes it's as innocent as that. Okay, so I just want you to be aware of that possibility as you're assessing and as you're tuning into your intuition about people. Give people a break here, okay? You're not always being deceived if you sense something is not congruent. And because Neptune in Pisces and Moon, Sun in Cancer is very psychic, you might be picking up a lot right now from people on an undercurrent level or a dream level, and you might be wondering a lot about people's true character, people's true intentions. But both of those signs in a trine are very nurturing and they're very compassionate, which means instead of dashing in there and calling people out, hey, you're acting this way, but you said this, but you're acting this way, or I don't buy what you're telling me, or how come, you're not telling me everything, you're hiding something from me, or whatever you're picking up. Give people a break, give yourself and them some space that they might not be aware of something that's coming up inside them yet. And Cancer is also extremely good at being motherly and being a good nurturer, a good counselor. So one example, let's say if I felt a friend was just suddenly distant. Nothing happened between us. Nothing I can think of in their life suddenly changed it, but I'm sensing a shift and I feel them farther away from me, less close, let's say. So we all go through this all the time. Well, when you know people really well and you understand their ebb and flow a little bit and you trust, okay, this will come back again. You allow people some space and you preserve your friendships over time because you know each other's waves. But when it's people you don't know so well yet, you don't know, like, why are they pulling away? Why don't I feel so close? Or if it's your romantic partner, that's much stronger if you feel someone's suddenly pulled away from you and you can't figure out why. It'll drive you insane. So instead of, again, like confronting stuff, because this is, Moon opposite Pluto, we don't want to get into confrontations, emotional confrontations. Instead, what you want to do is first just observe and ask yourself, okay, has there really been anything that I have said or done, or that they have said or done over the last little while that you can think of that could be provoking them to pull back? Again, asking yourself, have they been pushing too hard or forcing the relationship? Have you? Just start with that because of Moon Pluto. If you can say no, I haven't been pushing myself in or overbearing, and no, they haven't been doing that to me. Okay. So now where is this dichotomy coming from? Well, and again, instead of getting upset or taking it personally right away, try to just pull back and observe and see, are they doing this with everyone? They might be doing it with everybody. They might be, having trouble making eye contact with a whole bunch of people. It's not just you, or something like that. So just pull back and observe. Then you'll know, okay, this is about them. They're going through something. It's not personal to me. Moon and Sun in Cancer can take everything personally. Trust me, it's a constant thing. That's why I'm giving this advice, because I have to always still follow it in my life too. Have to always check. Okay, what I'm picking up, is it really personal or isn't it? And this is one way to do it. Pull back and watch how they are interacting with others. And if you see that they're treating other people the same as you, it's not your issue. And then if you can get to the point where you feel your friend or whoever your partner might be going through something, then you can ask them, it feels like you're going through something right now. Is that true? And leave it open-ended and see if they're ready to share. They might just clam up and look away, and they're not ready to share it. It might just be too small a little seed and they're not ready yet. And then other people, they might find that the way you've said it, or maybe the timing or the setting that you've said it in is safe enough. They might let you in and tell you what's going on. But it's going to be all within that little nurturing a seed kind of way. So don't expect huge, breakthroughs and revelations with this new moon. The most you can do is either create a safe container, just open the door a little bit, and it might not be time. So the other thing that is going on is Neptune is making a nice aspect to that Pluto. So that tells me that this last bit of advice is the way to go. Avoid emotional confrontations with people. Avoid forcing and pushing the issue. Avoid letting people push and force on you as well, this new moon. Go the route of pulling back, trusting your intuition, and finding gentle ways to talk. Because when Neptune supports Pluto, now you might feel with the right approach, you could help somebody or yourself transform or transmute those emotions into something more positive for you and bring you closer. But it's got to be done very delicately. This is very feminine energy. So let's talk about some other things going on in this chart, because there's another dynamic going on that is quite interesting. Mercury is squaring Neptune. So remember what we just said about Neptune, how gentle and dreamy and intuitive it is. Now, Mercury is still in Gemini. Mercury in Gemini likes everything to be black and white and flat and factual and playful and quick and gossipy and chit-chatty and, multitasking and multiple threads and multiple chats going on and facts and research and throwing in culture and news. And it's like hyper intellectual. It's light, it's fun, but it stays in the mind. And now Mercury is squaring Neptune. We just told you how internal Neptune is. So imagine you put those two people in the room. You've got the intuitive introvert who doesn't need to talk, and then you've got the Mercury in Gemini who's just going like this. So just pay attention to that dynamic. Mercury square Neptune can also mean that people are not telling exactly the truth. People are hiding what they actually feel. People are trying to, if somebody's overly talky right now, to me with these planets, I would sort of flag that. Be like, why is this person talking so much? What is there so much to say? Why aren't they able to drop deeper into themselves and be a little more real or emotional? Which isn't to put down Mercury and Gemini. It's just because the square is there and the planets are more supporting the other energy right now. So if anybody's just blah, 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 or name dropping or changing the topic all the time, you might feel like it's a bit of gaslighting, or you might just be dealing with somebody who's really having a hard time with their emotions and they're filling every airwave with something. But that's not that's the only real aspect that's telling me to be a little aware of anything that could be dishonest. Mercury is supported by Jupiter, though. So there's going to be lots of people out there talking, lots of talking. So we have another duality, as usual. You're going to see a lot of quiet, pulling back, reflecting, meditating, don't need to say much people, vibing on a different level, and you're going to see a lot of, and we see it with everything opening up, right? People are just so needing to socialize and be with others. So it's sort of the classic introvert-extrovert dichotomy going on right now too. You'll see a lot of people out there socializing and communicating and talking. So it'll be fun if that's who you are, if that's what supports you. Now, the other thing we have to mention is this interesting set of squares in fixed signs. And we're coming back to that Uranus. Uranus is the little earthquakes, remember? The little explosions under the earth. Now, Uranus is squaring off with Saturn, and that's like a longer term aspect because both of these planets move slowly. They're squaring for a while. I don't have the dates exactly, but we've been feeling it probably as early as April. And based on how these planets move, probably for the next couple of months at least, if not a few months. This Saturn square Uranus is a difficult one because Saturn is in Aquarius. It's a fixed sign, and Taurus is a fixed sign, and there is where you get a lot of heat and conflicts and clashes because both want to be right. Saturn comes in and wants to impose the rules and the structure, and Uranus says, screw you with your structure, and they're fighting each other for a while. So to me, though, those could be things that don't play out so much personally, but they're playing out in our world, right? It's pretty obvious to see that one. People imposing new rules of a new society, of a new way of life. Saturn in Aquarius, masks, vaccine passports, restrictions. You could call that Saturn in Aquarius. It's an unconventional and future forward, different way of having structure in our society. And Uranus and Taurus is like, I want it the way it was. I don't agree with that. So those are fighting each other. And then we have that squaring and opposing Venus and Mars in Leo. And that's where we could see some drama over the new moon. Because Venus and Mars in Leo together, like they're right on top of each other, that is, both of those together are so much about standing out, getting attention, style, flair, drama, self-expression, letting her rip if they're upset or angry, being the boss or the king or the queen, being the diva, Venus and Mars there. So you might find that, and again, that's opposing Saturn, which wants to come in and say, there's a new way, and this is the way it's going to be. And Venus and Mars and Leo will be like, no, 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 it's all about me still. Screw you, Saturn. I'm not listening to that. It's what I want. I have a right. Me, you'll hear a lot of that. I mean, we have been anyway, but Venus and Mars and Leo emphasizing that and opposing Saturn, that's the place we could see a bit of drama. So you could get into some quick disagreements or heat over silly things sometimes, or maybe it's over big issues. Pardon me. But to me, Venus, Mars, and Leo feels to me more like, especially squaring Uranus, feels like temper tantrums. And the tantrum could be about anything, literally. Sometimes with those planets, it'll be about something that's very important, rebelling against something oppressive that they feel. But a lot of the time it'll be like, you made my coffee wrong, It's supposed to be this way. How come I can't do what I want when I want? So expect to see some tantrums with these planets. But as I said before, and I'm going to come back to that and then close off, the thing we want to avoid is if there is a tantrum moment, because you might have one, other people might have one, and with you directly, we really want to discourage the emotional confrontations. Try to take it to the level, if you see a tantrum or you're part of a tantrum, or if it's you who's having one, try to pull back and give yourself some space and go, okay, what was bothering me there so bad? What set me off? Because the moon and sun in Cancer is a time to get in touch with your deeper emotional needs. People don't have a tantrum about something unless they feel their emotional needs are not being met. And usually there's been a buildup. That's why they blow when their coffee isn't right, or they can't do what they want or have what they want. It's because they feel that their needs are not met for so long. So the way to heal this is to pull back and ask that sun, moon, Cancer, Neptune, go lie down under a tree, go dunk yourself in a swimming pool, get in a hot bath, sit by a fountain, listen to rainstorms online while you're doing your reading or your homework or whatever you're doing. Listen and try to cleanse and try to be honest with yourself. What need is not being met inside me? Because that's how you're going to move things forward. You have to let that sprout up of what that need is, and then you can start to water it. And when you get your needs met, or you know better what they are, you're going to be able to be clearer what's good for you, clearer what decisions to make. You'll know better how to support yourself, and it'll improve your communication and your relationships. All right, we're going to go to the tarot now. So I've started something new for my new moon, and that is that all these years I've been burning sage, as many of you know. And I was initiated to use sage by a Mohawk man, a friend of mine. And so I always felt safe to do it because of that. And nobody's been pressuring me about appropriating the use of sage. But I sort of started to feel that it was time that I connected to my own ancestry and see what they would use and do to purify. And so basically, it wouldn't have been a shell. I still need to get something, a bowl instead of a shell. But they would have used, in Scotland, or the Celtic people would have used a bowl, and they would burn other herbs than sage. And they would leave it in the bowl and pass the dish or the bowl around or over objects. And I'm still researching this, so there might be more that I will tell you later. But so today, the first herb that I'm aware of that has come up in the tradition is juniper. So I'm going to burn a little bit of juniper instead of sage today. And then I'm pretty sure what they did was they passed the smoke in a cross around or over the object. I'd really have to have someone who knows this tradition show me the way that they actually did it, but this is what I've read. I'm certainly going to miss the sage because I love it. But I think for me, the new moon it's bringing up more and more levels of connecting to my own ancestry. All right, so let's take a look at our cards. So what else can the new moon show us as guidance? Going into more detail. All right, so our first card is the Wheel of Fortune. So this is always nice. Like the Wheel of Fortune always turns. It can mean luck. Sometimes the luck is on the downswing, though, with the Wheel of Fortune. Sometimes it's on the upswing. We don't know where we are on the wheel until we pull the next card. But this card definitely starts out that there is a change in fortune or change in luck. And looks like it's for the better. The Fool, perfect. This is perfect. It's a brand new beginning and a brand new moon. So the Fool is having a vision of what you see going forward for yourself. And the vision is really important. If you can't see yourself a couple of years from now, 5-10 years from now, if you can't see what you'd like to have, where you'd like to be, who you want to be surrounded by, if you can't visualize it, then you're going to feel stagnant or lost or scared. You know, without a vision, you don't know how to orient your choices or your goals. So this is definitely speaking of that. You need a vision. If you don't have a vision yet, this is where you're at. You need to go within and find what you need and what you want and come up with some vision of what you want. It can start small. It doesn't have to be a 10-year plan. But you need a goal. And the third card is the Prince of Wands, which is a guy who's going to go out there and do it. You know, this is someone with confidence and flair. This is like a Venus, Mars, Leo card. This person's going to go out there with guts. They're going to go out there and go big or go home. So that's a beautiful card. Once you find what that vision is, you're definitely going to act on it. And you're going to actually be confident and enjoy acting on it. It's not a scared little mouse coming out of the hole. This is like a fox running out of the hole. You know, so when you have that vision clear, you're going to hit the ground running. My goodness. The Magician card next. Well, this is super confident. I mean, whatever your new vision is, it's going to change the game for you. If you allow yourself to really fully see it, write it down, draw it, make a vision board, grab some images that represent it. Let yourself go big, dream bigger right now. Because the Magician tells me with the other cards that you could turn this new vision into something bigger that could last. You could have something that, you know, like that initial thing I said about, I think I want to go on a trip somewhere really exotic. And it just stays in your head like a daydream. By the time you state your vision to yourself, I'm not just going to dream about it. I'm going there. And then the Prince of Wands kicks in, and he's looking up all the details, and he's putting the money into it or aside or finding it, or it's coming to him. And the Magician is like manifesting something great that you could do while you're over there, or it's going to make your dream bigger, and it could make something more concrete or lasting out of it. So the Chariot comes after that. So there's always some sort of level of test or obstacle that comes into our goals. So it's normal. The Magician and the Fool and the Prince of Wands are so expansive with the Wheel of Fortune. It's like launching a luxury hotel kind of energy, you know? Huge and beautiful project, lots of work, lots of money. The Chariot's going to come along, and of course it's going to challenge you to bring everybody together to get it done. So I would say your vision right now needs to be something that is bigger than just yourself. All of these cards are expansive. And we're still at the Moon in Cancer. It's just the seedling. So maybe you just want to admit to yourself that you've got a bigger dream than you've allowed yourself to admit to yourself. So the Chariot comes along, just rallying everybody together, bringing people together, outside forces, other things that have to line up as like a test. But it's still a major arcana. It's a good card. Oh, my Lord. The next card is the Queen of Wands. This could be you, or this could be someone that you have around you, but this is a boss, you know. This lady is a boss. So you're going to be able to make whatever you want happen, because either you turn into this queen, or you hire, or you have maybe it's your mother or someone close to you steps in like a boss after the Chariot. This is great. This is a great reading. My gosh. The King of Cups is after that. So a lovely person who's around, a helpful, kind soul, generous person, sensitive guy, committed and loyal, who's around. That could be part of your vision or project. Wow, what a reading. Jupiter in Libra. We have the Four of Swords. This is, again, like sitting down at the table with lots of people, networking, brainstorming, talking together, writing it all down, drawing, designing, programming, whatever have you. This is like a collaboration card. Again, I get this feeling of like a project or something bigger, an idea or a project that's bigger than you thought at first. And now it's definitely going to involve a lot of planning, and it's going to involve other people in a good way. And our final card is the Sun. I don't think I've ever seen such a good reading in all of these months of this is great. The Sun means you're going to have success at this vision. So I can't stress enough how important it is that you just take some time for yourself. If you don't have a vision of where you see your future, we're opening up society now. We might still have some bumps and closures along the way before we open, but there's definitely a feeling of opening that is not going to stop now in some way. You must take some time and see in this new world, in these new conditions that we've all arrived in with COVID and with things that are changing on so many levels. You must sit and say, okay, the whole world's been upset. The little earthquake, right? How do I want to rebuild my life? What's my vision? And try to make your vision bigger than just, well, I'd like a new couch. Come on. No. Make it bigger. Dream bigger. And Neptune with Moon in Cancer, great time to do it. Meditate. Look through things that are inspirational. Listen to people or videos that are inspirational. Put on your favorite music and daydream. Pay attention to your actual dreams at night. this is a really potent time for you to get in touch with that dream, that little seed of what you want to plant. So let's take a look at the readings for everybody's sign now. I can't believe how positive that reading is. Makes me very happy. All right, so let's just be really literal about this and see what seed, what would your vision look like? What does your vision look like? Your project or your new vision for each sign. All right. So, sorry, I have to stop and write down these times or I won't remember them for the video. All right, Aries. What is your vision? The seed you want to plant, Aries, is the High Priestess. Not a typical Aries type of card. Because the Priestess is all about that feminine energy and the intuitive or the esoteric realm. I'm going to say, Aries, what you need to do when you've come up with what you want in your vision, you need to work on the metaphysical level, the mental and energetic level of your goal. See, normally Aries would go around and speak to everybody, tell the world, rally people up to get what they want. This time, what I'm asking you to do is keep that idea and that vision to yourself and let it grow bigger on a internal level. What that does is creates a huge potency that is magnetizing, and that helps you get what you want. So instead of saying, I don't know, I want a new car, because I do. Instead of saying, well, my goal is to have a new car and I'm going to go explore the areas I live in because I've been living here for so long, and I'm going to go hiking, I'm going to drive all over, I'm going to do day trips, and then eventually I'm going to drive some big long drive and go somewhere I've always wanted. And, you know, that would be a vision, because that's something that's ongoing. It's expanding your life. But instead, the High Priestess card would be more like, think about the trips and the car and what you're going to do, and don't tell anyone. Keep bringing the vision and the strength of what you want in mind, and watch what shows up in your life, and watch the signs of what shows up in your life, because intuitively you're going to be led in a different way than what you would normally. Very interesting reading for you, Aries. All right, Taurus. Taurus, what seed are you planting? All right, well, you've got that Queen of Wands, so you're the boss. This is a fire queen, very different than your typical earth sign. So this is interesting. So what you need to do to manifest your vision, the seed you need to plant is, how do I bring out more expression, more leadership? How do I be a little more bold and strong? How do I take my place? You know, think of yourself as the queen of your vision, and see how that shifts what you're going to do differently to get it. Very interesting. basically what that tells me is Taurus would normally want to keep things comfortable and therefore safe, and therefore they might not take as many risks, or they might not express themselves as much because it could rock the boat when they want things to stay stable. But this queen would definitely rock the boat if they feel it's honest to what they are envisioning or what they would like. So I would say this is about, for you, the steps are to take more bold action, bold, courageous, self-expression moments is going to bring you closer to your vision. Creative risks could also come into play with that one too. But there's an element of taking a risk. All right, Gemini. Gemini, what do you need to do planting your seed? And we have the Princess of Wands. So it's sort of like the little sister of the Queen here. But it's still different. Now, she is, she's following her passion without worrying about the rules. She's winging it. She's jumping in. She didn't really pre-plan it. She hasn't thought about what consequences there could be, or she might be aware somewhat, but she doesn't care. She's doing it anyway. So again, we have another advice of being a little more bold, a little more impulsive, taking risks. Definitely look at how giant the flame is that she's dancing in. There's a lot of passion in this card. There's a lot of fire. So for you to get in touch with what is that seed you need to plant, well, again, it seems to be about feeling more free to take risks, feeling more free to express yourself, releasing constraints about how people see you, or what it might be, what people might think if you blah, blah, or blah. So just go for it. Whatever it is, go for it. Don't overthink it. Cancers. Cancer, what's the seed you need to plant? The Hermit. It almost looks like a seed, doesn't it? It's an egg. It's an egg with a snake around it, but it looks like a seed that's been planted. So the seed you need to plant, Cancer, is actually, you need some time alone. You need some space. Look at all the light in the card, all the light in the darkness. And you see this three-headed dog, the Cerberus. And it's sort of like the inner demons, the things that are bothering you deep down that you might feel are sort of pursuing or chasing after you, if you will. And there's all kinds of light grids going on that shine the light on them. And then there's a rebirth coming not too far from now. Look, his face is not very far away from this clearing where the light comes back, the snake in the egg. Big changes, big fertility, big potent dream that you have. So for you, that would mean whatever your vision is, the Hermit does not tell people. Again, it's different than the Priestess. The Priestess is keeping things sort of inside and sending the radar out psychically, noticing signs, symbols, what's coming, who's showing up. The Hermit's different. The Hermit is staying home, getting extra sleep, turning off the phone, disappearing from social media for a while, not needing to say or verbalize everything to everyone. The Hermit needs some time to sit with things, to shine light on what's coming up. So I would say for Cancer, I think Cancers are usually pretty good at having a vision. their cardinal sign, their leadership sign. So you might already know what you want. You might want to expand on it, but definitely it's much more potent to keep it to yourself or only safe, trusted people. And what you need to do to make it happen is really shine the light on what these fears are. Because, we Cancers can be always very scared of change because it upsets your security, your emotional security. So if you shine a light on what those fears are, they're not going to harm you. We don't sense that these dogs are going to attack or overpower the hermit. He's safe, but he does need to look at them. He needs to know they're there because they could be a factor, but they're not going to overwhelm him or stop him or sabotage him if he's aware. Whew, that is chunky advice right there. All right, let's take a look. Leo, what is the seed you are planting? Well, literally very seed-like card. So the sun is in Virgo in this card, and it's a strong plant with strong flowers. Everything's very symmetrical and balanced. This is prudence, so it means slow, steady growth. And right now, Venus and Mars are in your sign. It might be making you feel very go big or go home, very impatient for things to happen, quicker and bigger. But this is saying slow and steady wins the race. So whatever seed you plant, whatever your vision is, it requires a bit of organization. This is a Virgo card. It requires you to look at the details. You would be wise to sort of go back and revisit anything you've already done and just sort of like check from the bottom up. Is this solid? Did I do this right? Are these the right people in place? Is this the right spot I'm in? Check. Okay, what's the next level? This is a methodical, beautiful card that indicates success. It's just that it took time. It grows and winds slowly. It sprouts. It sprouts, it sprouts, it sprouts. When it's strong, the flowers come out. It's a lovely, lovely card. It just is like, just ask yourself if you were wanting things too big, too fast, but know that you will succeed at what you want. Okay, it's just change the timing, change your idea of the timing. All right, Virgo. What seed are you planting? So we have the Six of Swords and Aquarius card. This is always like a very detached, cool kind of feeling, isn't it? If you look at the card, it's very detailed and intricate. It's surgical. Surgical is always a good word for this card. Now, Virgo, I'm sure you already have ideas and visions. What Virgo doesn't have like a million ideas and hasn't thought about it on all the many ways? So if there's something that you really want, maybe there's multiple, I would say try to zone in on one and try to get more surgical or granular about it. So this is a card of, if you want your vision to happen, now it's time to start really going in depth with these smaller details. It's intricate. There's lots of planning involved to make it go well. And you'll probably enjoy it. It's just the main feeling I'm getting for you, Virgo, is you're spread a bit too thin right now between too many things. You can't put like a surgical clear mind towards one thing if you're spread between 3 or 4. So it's time to sort of go, this is the one I'm going to really focus on the most. And now I'm going to go into that next level of detail. Alrighty, Libra. What is your seed? Very nice. Ace of Swords, moment of clarity. So basically, this is what you're looking for. So Libras need your moment of clarity. You need your moment of mental clarity and inspiration. So before you get that eureka moment about what your vision is, there's probably things you need to clear in your head. I'm hearing like debris in your head. So think about, if you've got a beautiful room, but it's full of clutter. It doesn't change that it's a beautiful room, but you need to spend some time cleaning and decluttering before you can enjoy it or see it or figure out maybe you want a new color in there or a new piece of art in there. That's just a metaphor, but that's what's going on. You need, you see all these clouds at the bottom and you see these rays at the top and there's sun and there's a clearing. Like you need to push out certain things that are cluttering your life or your mind. And you need to make room for what you truly want to come through, like to give it some space. So decluttering your life, your space, and your mind. And it's going to bring you a lot more certainty and clarity about what you want. Because again, Libra is a leadership sign, a cardinal sign. So once you're clear on something, nobody will stop you from doing it. So you need to take whatever time and space you need to have some clarity first. All right, Scorpios. The seed you are planting is the Emperor, or what it needs for your vision is the Emperor. You need to oversee whatever it is. The Emperor is in charge. That's it. That's all. So this could be a moment where you might need to really take control in your life or over whatever it is you want to happen. It's not assuming or waiting on or hoping other people will be around. It's not, waiting and wondering for someone who will show up or if this, then that. The Emperor is just, think of an emperor in movies or whatever. Like they just show up in somewhere and they go, we will build this there. And they don't think about anybody else. And they just do it and people follow their orders. Obviously, that's not good. But to dominate that much. But it's this idea of the guy is so clear in what he wants and what his vision is and how it'll be done that he just takes charge, doesn't rely on anyone else's outside advice or opinion or insecurity. It's going to happen because he sees it. That's it. That's all. He takes charge and he hires people, or he bosses, an emperor like dominates people to do it for free like slaves. But we are not suggesting that you do that. It's just the mindset that he has of such certainty that he doesn't rely on anyone else. So completely self-sufficient and take control of what your vision is. Let's say your vision was the trip again that I'm using. It's not about waiting for a friend. Before you go on the trip, I'm going on the trip with or without anybody. It's well, I'll go on the trip, but I have, this person who might help me find a hotel. So I'm waiting for them. The emperor doesn't wait. The emperor is like, I'm going and I'm staying there and I'm fine, or I'm going to find it myself. So it's just a message about, are you relying or waiting on anybody? Or are you taking charge? And it's saying right now, take charge. Sagittarius, what is your seed? What do you need to do? You have the star. Look at that. Now, the star is a complex card. Most people see the star, oh, great, everything's going to be magical. I'm going to be recognized. Maybe I'll be famous. Maybe things will just be magical. Maybe. Sometimes the star can mean that you're starry-eyed and not being realistic about what you want too. You need to test for that. So I know this is not as fun a message as it could be, but what we want you to do, Sag, is, I'm sure you already have a vision. What you're doing to make it happen or not is you're testing. You have to test the water to see, is it realistic or is it idealistic? Because you're already thinking big. That's not a problem for you. Not like other signs that are afraid to think big. You already think big. So we just want to make sure that you aren't sort of deluding yourself in any way, trying to shoot for something that is maybe going to take longer or require more details than you've been willing to look at. Because if you have tested the water, if your dream is grand and you've done the research and what you're saying is possible within a time frame that is possible, now you get the magic. Now you're ready for this to be amazing, beyond your expectations in a good way. Then the star shines on you, right? So if I go to the trip analogy and I'm like, oh, I want to go there and I want to stay in this beautiful place. And maybe the star card can sometimes be that you've just attached yourself to this place or to a certain spa or whatever you're going to go do there. And you haven't done the legwork. And then you come to go and you realize it's not even available. It closed. Or it's way beyond my budget. I can't do it. And now that you get the frustration that the star could bring if it's been starry-eyed and hasn't been seeing reality, then you get the big disappointment. But if you've been daydreaming of the trip and you researched it already and you know how much it costs to stay there, fly there, you've asked what's open and what's not, so you know if the thing you had your heart set on is available, and it's all said and done and you're still excited and you've got it all planned, now you've got the magical trip and it's going to be beautiful. So your message is really just test your dream for reality. Reality check your dream just to make sure. And just readjust your sails. You'll still find a way to do this. All right, Capricorn. Capricorn, what seed are you planting? What do you need for your dream? All right, we got the Ten of Swords. Well, we do have Pluto in your sign and opposing the moon, so you might feel like you've had a setback. You might be forcing things or trying too hard. Or people might be forcing you or trying too hard as well. There's something that it's gonna feel like a bit of a setback, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. The card says ruin, so you might feel like something has failed and you're really disappointed, or you're angry at yourself, or you're angry at everybody because it hasn't worked. But the message I'm getting is that something that you've been thinking of was pushing a bit too hard, too fast, and it pushed you and others to the limits. And so it needs to, I'm sorry to say, Capricorn, it needs to be smaller right now. You need to scale back the size or the pace of what you want. Because again, Capricorn always has a plan, always has something. Vision is not a problem. It's another leadership sign, cardinal sign. Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn are the cardinal signs, and they are always full of ideas, and they want to be the one to drive the project. So usually there's no shortage of vision with those signs. The issues are different for every sign as to how they get there. But because Pluto's been in your sign for so long and it's been so intense, again, what did we say about Pluto at the beginning of the video? Pluto is all about force, you know. Sometimes it has enormous force and magnetism that will make something larger than life. And that happens sometimes, but a lot of the time Pluto is just, people feel it as sort of too much and too intense, and then they resist it. So I would say, again, it's similar to the Sag message, but for different reasons. Ask yourself if you're in that dynamic I mentioned, where you're forcing things or people are forcing things with you. And you want to pull back and scale back, or reimagine your project or your vision so that you feel more personally in control of it. And so you feel more space around it. And you might need to make it a bit smaller or have it take a little bit longer so that you regain a sense of feeling like it's yours. And yeah, that's the basic message there. Watch the power dynamics and watch whether things are being forced or not in some direction, and readjust. Because I know that whatever you want, you will get. It's a matter of, is it aligned with your timing and other people's timing? Is it aligned with patience? You know, the danger with Capricorn is just when you want something too bad, too fast, and the things that happen in order for you to want to have things when and how, you know, that's when you run into trouble. Just like Libra will run into trouble on their goals if they start trying to weigh and please and overthink everybody. It'll stagnate them. You know, Cancer, I'm bringing up the leadership signs, but Cancer will stagnate when they're too much in their feelings, or they're too afraid of how it's going to change their lives or how they're going to feel, or they're taking everything personally, so they stagnate on their leadership. And Aries will stagnate if they're just sort of overbearing about stuff, or too blunt or brusque about everything. And again, impatience for Aries too, definitely will shut down their goals. They want it now, or screw it, or forget it. Because Capricorn wants it now, they're going to work for it and they're going to make it happen. But because I want it now. Aries will just be like, it's not happening fast. Oh well. Get pissed off and then maybe come back to it later. So just to say, you know, leadership signs have these struggles, and this is the one that's yours. And so just readjust your sails, your timing, and maybe the who you're doing things with to get your goals. Oh boy, that was a long one, eh? All right, so Aquarius. What seed are you planting, or what do you need to do for your dream? The hard work card. 3 of Pentacles, the full-time paid employment. Look at this. It's like a turbines, you know? It looks like a pyramid with turbines in the water pushing the waves. hovering above the water maybe, or could be something digging into something. It's powerful. It's a powerful card. So basically, it's a very basic message then for you when it comes to how do I get my vision? What do I do for my dream? It's all about you're working for it. You're putting in the hard work. That's it. This is the roll up your sleeves and do it card. This is the practical, get her done, get paid for it card. This is a bit of teamwork or hiring people. So let's say your dream is, let's go back to, you bought a house. I'm saying this because I have one friend, Aquarius, who just bought a house. But so if she's listening, anyway. But the metaphor for that would be like, okay, you want the house done and decorated and fixed. Well, hire people or put in the sweat. It's very practical, managerial. Get her done. Yeah, it's a very simple message this time. It's not coming by magic. It's not coming by manifestation. It's called roll up your sleeves, get her done. And if you can't do it, hire someone to do it. All right. Pisces, what is your message? So, Pisces, what seed are you planting? What do you have to do for your dream? That's nice. 3 of Cups. Very nice. And it's Mercury in Cancer card. So we have the Cancer vibe, the water. Look at the abundance. And it's a fountain that's flowing. Lotus flowers pouring water over like grapes almost in the form of vases. Water's all clean and clear, rippling out. Beautiful collaboration, abundance. So what you need for your vision or your dream, Pisces, is you need to believe in the power of abundance in the universe. If you are in a scarcity mindset, that's the first thing to work on. You can intuit and dream and see and create anything as a Pisces. Where Pisces has a difficulty is they feel very discouraged at the world. They feel very Charlie Brown, like, I love humanity, it's the people I can't stand. They feel shut down, that people are not hearing them or sensitive or can't understand where they're coming from. They'll get accused of being, with their head in the clouds or unrealistic. And they're very creative and spiritual, and they know that sometimes, wonderful, magical things do happen. Things have their own way of happening. It's not always like the rolling up the sleeves kind of stuff. Sometimes beautiful things can happen when you trust your intuition on it. And so the first thing for you to work on then, for whatever you're wanting to envision or manifest or bring into your life, whatever your dream is believe in the abundance of the world. And how would you do that? If you feel like you're always strapped for money, let's say, or you feel like you're always, there's never enough money, or time or resources, or you look around you and you feel like there's no abundance, or it is for other people, for the rich, but not for me, or something like that. There's abundance everywhere. It doesn't always have to be bags of money. Abundance is the beauty and fullness of nature. Look at all the flowers around you. Look at how many birds there are in the world. They're abundant. Look at how much, even if you walk into a Walmart or a Costco, just look around at the shelves and go, holy crap, look at all this stuff. This is abundance. There's lots of stuff. There's lots of things in the world. Look at all the people. The world is abundant with people. There's always more. There's always something. There's always ways. So surround yourself with things that make you feel that reality that anything is possible and abundance can be yours. Claim it. All right, well, this has probably been the nicest reading I've ever given. So this makes me very optimistic for everybody. So what do we want to, just to recap, what do we want to do? We want to avoid emotional confrontations. We want to pull back and give everybody, including yourself, some space. We don't want to force ourselves on others or on projects, and we don't want others to force and push us. We're going to give a little room. We want to avoid the temper tantrums. If you're caught in a temper tantrum, try to pull back and sit with yourself and really go deeply and ask, what do I need? What needs of mine are not being met here because something really set me off. So I need to know, what do I need? What am I not honoring in myself? And if you're caught in a temper tantrum of another person, give that person some space. Treat them like that small little seed. Give them a safe container to say, hey, how are you doing? When the time is right, not in the heat of the moment. All right, if you would like a personal reading, then please reach out to me at Catherine River Rain on Facebook or Instagram, or you can message me below this video, or my email is going to be in the comments in the description. So please share, like, follow, subscribe. I'm saying this right at the end instead of the beginning, but anyway. All right, I wish everybody a wonderful new moon.